Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at Eli Lilly and Company. It is time for another update, and I'm actually quite excited about today's update as we are looking at yet another emerging opportunity on this chart. And this stock is actually in a sweet spot as it has a very established uptrend, no denying about that. And this is paired with massive upside potential still. We would still be fairly far away from a large wave 3 top being in place. We would expect massive upside potential still, and we are starting to see larger retracements. So for us, pullback traders, this screams opportunity, right? Now, if you want to be a part of this journey as we track this movement in continuation to higher prices still, and you want to capture the best value by accumulating within the support zones and having a roadmap, I would encourage you to subscribe as we will be here to track this development. Now, on this chart, for context, we have been tracking this idea of a double 1-2-1-2 setup. We have explained before why, but it's not really relevant for the purposes of trading within this movement to the upside anyway. And within this structure, we are looking for extended continuation to higher prices as we are looking at a series of 1-2 setups within this structure, right? We have here a double 1-2-1-2. And we can take it even a step further. We can look in the smaller time frame at yet another series of 1-2 setups, here a triple 1-2-1-2-1-2, where only afterwards can we really start to consider a more substantial wave 3 to have possibly formed a top. And I say possibly because, as you will notice, it is still able to shift into this being a 1-2 setup instead, and for the wave 3 to still be emerging. Now, in either case, I would expect still strong continuation to higher prices. I expect this chart to still deliver on these waves we are tracking on the chart at the very least. And we haven't managed to catch this wave 4 as it was still developing. We weren't covering this stock back then, but we did manage to catch this development as it was still within the support zone. And we outlined that this wave 4 could have a bottom in place. It did reach the ideal target, the 38.2% retracement, and it did have a 3-wave pattern. Now, the means of this correction have been more complex, but nonetheless, we were still within this area of support, and we provided even yet another area of support for a 1-2 setup in this structure. And any of you who would have managed to accumulate, now, it would have been kind of difficult as we have formed a minimum retracement in a supposed wave 2 in this area into the 38.2% retracement, but any of you who managed to buy within our support zone would have, even at this point as we are looking at a pretty substantial correction, still massive profits, right? Now, in this structure, we have been looking to build a wave 5, we have been looking to build a 5-wave pattern, and we have been looking to ideally form an impulse. So this is what we have been tracking. Now we changed the color to white to have more contrast, but the main idea remains the same. We were looking for a wave 3 to emerge from this wave 2 bottom, and for the most part you can consider this has delivered. It did reach the ideal target for a supposed wave 3, but it hasn't necessarily followed our ideal expectations for the internal movement in this area. We were looking for an impulse in the wave 3, and that means we would expect to form a 5-wave pattern within each of the subwaves of this movement to the upside. And even though we did manage to hold our internal area of support for the wave 4, it seems we haven't managed to form a 5-wave move in this wave 5, but instead a 3-wave pattern, which isn't necessarily the end of the world, but we would expect then a reset of the wave 4. Most likely we would expect afterwards a wave 5 to continue this trend, and this hasn't happened. We have fallen below the levels of support. So we need to make some considerations on this chart, and again, I see this as an opportunity, not necessarily as something to cry about, but yes, I am not really able to trust this to have been this structure anymore, to have been a wave 3. And even though technically right now we might still be holding the area of support, assuming we would be able to track this as a wave 3, I would prefer probably a different interpretation to be playing out, as even the correction itself is quite extended, right? So I am not really looking for this structure to extend any higher within this wave to the upside directly, and I have a couple of ideas of how we could still be looking for this to take us to higher prices. So I want to start from the larger time frame because this is where it really begins. We are able to consider this wave 5 to have formed the top within a 5-wave pattern because we can consider this to have been an ending diagonal, in which case it would make even sense to have here only a 3-wave pattern in this last move to the upside. In such a scenario, I would like to prepare you first with the area of support we would track for this larger wave 4 correction. Yes, this is a possible expectation we can have, and in that case we can look for the price to go as low as $500 without really affecting in any way the probabilities for continuation to higher prices in the overall uptrend. Now, at the same time, I want to prepare you for the idea that this would have been just the beginning of this wave 5, because especially in such strong uptrends, especially in the first wave 5 after a larger wave 4 correction, it is often the case that the wave 5 becomes quite extended, oftentimes even exceeding the size of the wave 3 itself. Now, this could also play in with the idea of having here instead a 1-2 setup, but generally I would consider it able to provide us a readily available extension in this movement to the upside within one count or the other. So I would be able to look here for a 1-2 setup. Now, do I even need to actually track this as a 5-wave pattern to track this interpretation? And I can tell you that this isn't even necessary. I could track here a 1-2 setup even if I choose to consider this to have been an ABC pattern. In fact, that would be even more suggestive of continuation in this uptrend, as within the wave 5 in blue, we would expect a 5-wave pattern, and we would be looking for a larger ending diagonal in that case. Now, in the end, this doesn't really affect anything, it's just for the context. I would be looking for the same 1-2 setup in this structure, I would be looking for the same area of support, and before we actually provide it, I do want to warn you, this is no guarantee. It can fail, we can look to head into the larger wave 4 area of support at any point. It is no guarantee that we will get an extension within this wave 5, within the overall wave 3, we could be looking at a larger correction. Now, personally, I still consider this to be a healthy correction within a larger uptrend, and as you may notice, the area of support for the wave 2 would be also overlapping with the area of support for the wave 4 in blue. Now, if we fail to hold here the 78.6% retracement, I would probably focus on the idea of a wave 4 in blue, where with a break below the beginning of this entire movement to the upside, we would be certain that this white interpretation we are tracking in an extension is not even possible any longer. But again, I am looking at this to be an opportunity. It's not a necessity to see a reversal from this zone, but we have reached our area of support and the upside is actually quite enticing, as we would be looking at a wave 3 at the very least of a wave 5 of a large wave 3. Yeah, this would be the first wave 5 within the large wave 3 to the upside. This would be basically the beginning of the end, where afterwards we would expect continuation to higher prices within a series of 4-5 patterns, where probably we would be looking at 4, 5, 6 additional waves 5 before forming a more substantial top on this chart. And of course, I would recommend to position in preparation that this structure doesn't need to extend any higher. This wave 3 could have a top in place, that a failure would only be detected by falling below $500. This is the idea for these levels as a trade setup. And of course, if we get a confirmation within a small time frame, for example, an initial 5-wave move to the upside, we can start looking for more aggressive accumulation. But for now, I believe it best to position in preparation for all outcomes, yes? Be aware what you're risking when you are looking for a position in this area, because we cannot guarantee a failure of this chart unless we break $500, right? Only then would the larger pattern be truly affected. Now, In this pattern, as I was saying, I'm not really looking for extensions within this wave 1, the wave 5 we could be tracking in this area, doesn't really matter. I'm looking for the correction to have started. We can even notice we have pushed into the first level of support, the 38.2% retracement, which even provided a stop for the strongest movement to the downside yet in this entire downtrend, right? And in this movement, in this wave 2 correction, I'm probably looking for something like an A, B, C structure. The wave B could be a triangle. We could consider the wave B top to have been here. I wouldn't overthink it. Overall, you can expect the wave 2 to be a 3-wave correction, but beyond that, it could be a WXY, it could be an ABC structure, and I'm looking for the signal, for the evidence that a reversal is coming, while potentially looking for positions in this light accumulation area. So, I am tracking this idea where in the wave C, we would be looking possibly at an ending diagonal. I wouldn't overthink the actual structure currently. We could have a number of different interpretations in this area, but momentarily I'm focused on the actual wave C in this structure, right? And then here I have a 1, 2, a wave 3 that would be towards the end, and then I would expect a wave 4 and a wave 5 to complete the structure. So within this wave 3, I'm looking to build an A, B, C pattern. And within this wave C, I'm actually looking at an impulse, and we can go in the even smaller time frame for this idea, where I would have basically a 1, 2, 3, and this would have been a wave 4 and a wave 5 that would be currently unfolding. Of course, we can have an area of resistance for such an interpretation. We could very easily even expect a reset for this wave 4, but primarily for direct continuation to lower prices within this wave C, I would be looking to not break the 50% retracement, the $947 level. And so far we can see that we have reached the area of resistance, we have formed a 3-wave pattern, and we have even formed continuation to lower prices, but only within a 3-wave pattern so far. So unless this extends directly lower, and this would be expected to even be within a 5-wave structure, I would be prepared for a reset in this wave 4. Now, if we get a break above the 50% retracement here, I wouldn't be looking for the reversal to higher prices to have started. I wouldn't be looking for this overall wave 2 to have a bottom in place, but I would rather like to see for that idea, to even consider it, a break for any resistance area for the larger wave 3. So I would be watching here the 61.8% retracement, the $966 level. We can keep only the larger resistance levels here not to overlap, but yes, we would need to break this wave 4 resistance area for the indication, the first indication that a bottom would be in place. And even then, we will need to be still very careful, especially unless we build a more reliable structure like an initial 5-wave move to the upside. Now, if we want, we can even look for an ideal target for the wave C, but I already believed we have reached it. That would be the 100% extension of the wave A. In this case, we could be looking at $924, but yeah, we have exceeded that. We have even touched more recently here the 123.6% extension, and we are still looking for lower prices. Now, as a takeaway, we are looking for a potential reversal from this white area of support, but this is no guarantee. If you choose to accumulate, I'm not telling you to do that or not to do that, this is not financial advice, but if you choose to accumulate, I would consider, when it comes to positioning, that I may need to be prepared to have a stop loss as low as below the last level of support in the blue structure, the $500 level, right? So keep that in mind. Even with established uptrends, it is best to have proper risk management. And for now, I wouldn't go anywhere beyond that. We have the two main scenarios we are tracking continuation higher within. I do not believe this is the time to panic. We are looking at just a healthy correction in my opinion, and I'm looking for a potential bottom to form at any point now. Remember, the wave 2 doesn't even need to build the entire wave C to have a potential bottom and start the reversal, but we are of course looking for some evidence. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I would like to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks where we identify for you high quality structures. And we are heading towards the end of the month when we will actually send out our next newsletter. And the link is in the description and it is completely free anyway, so I really don't see why you wouldn't join. Other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.